And it is your Freestyle Media Christmas special. Come and join us. Let's have some fun. I am Joe Malone, and I am joined by Eleanor Grimes, by Jonathan Saunders, and by Rebecca Lennon. So how are you all, guys?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, very good, thanks.
Yeah. Jonathan is sporting a pair of the Magic 5 goggles, and of course, you can get 15% off a pair by using the link in the description to this episode. So thank you for that, Jonathan. And of
Perfect
course,
for swimming, perfect for podcasts, everything you need.
Absolutely perfect. I love it. And also do check out Oxford Strength and Conditioning to find out more about the at-home bodyweight program that's launching in the new year. And do listen to last week's episode of the podcast if you haven't done so already, because Nathan himself talks about the program coming up. So that is oxalt.com. But moving nicely along, first things first, Becky, what is your favourite Christmas song?
It is Driving Home for Christmas by Chris Rea.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
It reminds me of my mum. Yeah, so I listened to that today, and yeah, best one.
So why does it remind you of your mum?
Because my mum utterly loved Chris Rea, and she went to see him in concert probably more than once, and we used to laugh and joke. We were like, "Did you throw your knickers at him, Mum?" Because they used to take like knickers, didn't they, to concerts, women, and throw them at yeah. So there you go. That's it. Just reminds me of my mum. I smile every time I listen to it.
I love it. I thought you were going to tell a really lovely story about how she, used to work away and then she drove home ready for the Christmas holidays. But no, instead she's actually just getting her pants off. But there we go. That's cool. Jonathan, is Frankie Goes to Hollywood's "The Power of Love" a Christmas song or not? Because I'm not too sure.
Oh, that's a good question. Hold on, I'm going to see you now. No, well, it came out at Christmas, didn't it? I'm old enough to remember it coming out at Christmas, but yeah. It's never going to be your favourite Christmas song, is it?
See, it's a weird one for me because the Christmas album, the CD that my parents had when I was growing up, this was like number 4 on the album. So to me, it's a Christmas song because I've grown up with it being on a Christmas album. Never heard it any other time of the year, but clearly it's not a Christmas song. So it's just funny one. And
I think Eleanor, it was.
Yeah, well, there you go. Eleanor, on the topic of things that are sort of related to Christmas, is Die Hard a Christmas film?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Love a bit of Die Hard at Christmas.
Yeah. Are you
the answer's yes, Eleanor.
I did say yes.
Would you watch it every year? Is it a bit of a thing for you?
So my annual Christmas viewing tradition is the Muppets Christmas Carol, which involves pizza and getting drunk. But let's be honest, if Die Hard's on the telly, I'm watching it. So I'm all good with it.
Nice. We last year we did in Leicester Square in London, went to a Muppets Christmas Carol sing along, and it was probably the best 2 hours of my life. To be honest, it was really really good fun.
You need to get out more, Joe.
No, my birthday present.
Not only is Die Hard a Christmas film, it's the best Christmas film ever. Surely. I
don't know. I feel like Eleanor's got something to say about that.
Yeah, for my birthday this year, which is actually June, but my friend took me last week to see the Muppets, the Christmas Carol, but with a live orchestra, and it was absolutely amazing. Ooh, nice. So definitely, hands down, the Muppets for me. I love Die Hard, but Muppets is better.
Yeah. Muppets is a good, literally, it's a good Christmas Eve film to watch, given that it's kind of based on Christmas Eve, isn't it? But look, it's been another very busy year of swimming. Here we are. This is the final podcast, by the way, of the year. We've had lots and lots of competitions to enter. I don't know about you guys, but the calendar nowadays just seems to be really full, and it's already filling out for next year, which is fantastic. There's tons of good competitions to go to. So I want to go sort of around the houses with this, really. So Becky, I'll start with you. I've kind of got 2 questions, really. The first one is, what's been your favourite competition this year? And then the second question is, which race or perhaps races have you've done are you kind of most proud of?
So, favourite competition. I think do you know what? I have to say, I was thinking about these questions and thinking, actually, I don't go to that many competitions during the year because there's not lots of long distance events. So actually, there's not many for me to choose from. But I actually think AP race, the first Masters meet, was probably one of the best all year. And I think just because it was a lot of fun. There was, we were made a complete fuss of. I think the venue was great, and the fact that we were all sat on poolside together. We were all just in this melee of people on poolside, weren't we? So everyone was chatting and cheering each other on, and then watching James Simpson race Anna Hopkin was just like, on what other planet would that happen? And it was just utterly brilliant. So from a spectator point of view, it was also really good as well. Races that I'm proud of, I think for me, doing the 3K at the World Championships in Japan, because I got a top 10 place, so I came 9th. And I think the prep the day before was not my finest hour. I didn't get a lot of sleep, and we had to rock up at get up at 6 o'clock in the morning because it took quite a while to get down to the beach venue. So it wasn't the greatest prep, but my head was in the right place. I just enjoyed it. I knew exactly what I was doing. I swam it, as best as I could. And so then to come away with 9th, which is what I was aiming for. I wanted a top 10 place. So that's probably the best swim of the year for me.
That's the right answer as far as I'm concerned. Just to go out to Japan and race full stop is something that you should be proud of. And then the fact that you placed top 10 is absolutely amazing. So yeah, well done to you indeed. And I'm gutted that I missed the AP race, to be honest. And I'm actually signed up already for their meet in March next year in Sunderland. So I'm going to be there for that one. So yeah, looking forward to that. Ellen, the same 2 questions to you.
So my favourite swim meet, I'm going to interpret loosely because I'm going to say the Henley Classic, which is a swim that's done at dawn up the it's a Henley regatta course, so you have to be off the water by 6 by the time the boats come on. But the weather was perfect. I mean, it was the one weekend the whole year we got a heat wave, and so you were swimming along the Thames as the sun was coming up, and it was just one of the most beautiful kind of swims I've done. But also it was just such a fun event to be at. Even we got 2 breakfasts because we obviously had breakfast before, breakfast after, probably 3rd breakfast on the motorway on the way home, but also it was after what we call a swimmers weekend. So me and 3 friends had gone down to London, and we'd spent the weekend swimming at various open water venues around London. So it's just a perfect way to end a fantastic weekend. So that's why that one sticks in my memory as my favourite swim meet. In terms of the one I'm most proud of, it was at Nationals. We had a relay, 4x100 mixed relay, medley relay. And on the third turn of the backstroke, both parts of my goggles filled up. So I had to rip them off mid-length, and I still managed to PB because obviously I swam the first leg, so it counted. So probably that one.
Brilliant.
And it was just such a great team effort. So yeah, that's what stands in my memory.
Yeah, that's very fun. That's fantastic. I mean, obviously the Henley swim sounds like a lot of fun. Sounds like a great weekend, and I love stories like that from Nationals where you still managed to kind of get a PB. You're on the same par really as Phelps now, aren't you? Because of course his goggles filled up and he managed to get a world record, I think. So you're basically in the same company as him, as far as I'm concerned, which is great.
I will take
that. I read that.
Sorry.
Go on, Rebecca.
It's reminding me of Joe's hat incident at Nationals.
Love it.
I remember reading that Phelps, his coach, made him train with his goggles full of water in case that happened in a race, so that when it happened in the Olympics, didn't affect him. Then he went on and won the gold medal.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm glad Abby doesn't make us do that.
Brutal.
Yeah, I just put it down to my water polo and the fact that I'm so used to swimming with water in my face with no goggles that was the only reason I kept my cool. But yeah, it was.
And if you play water polo, you're as hard as nails as well.
Exactly.
Well, yeah, this week's match was tough.
Yeah, no, that sounds brilliant. So Jonathan, how about you then? Best meet of the year, and which race are you most proud of?
Well, there's 2 that's close because, as you know, this year we've done a bit of ice swimming. So the GB Ice Champs were interesting. But I'm with Rebecca. I think favourite meet of the year was the AP race day at Derby. I thought it was a fantastic meet, and you missed something, Joe. It was a really good. Sometimes it's difficult to put your finger on why it was so enjoyable, but the whole thing was enjoyable. I think there were a few people turned up slightly cynical about what they would find, but I think everybody went away smiling, having had a fantastic time. And yeah, whatever it was, they did it very well. To the extent that I think a few of us were talking about our favourite meets, it probably only comes after things like Rome last year and Budapest. So really enjoyable meet. They did a great job.
Yeah, sounds really good. And how about your proudest race?
Proudest race? I don't know about that one. Purely because I've had a few, as you know, I've had a few injuries this year. So can I be proud of someone else's race? Is that okay?
Absolutely.
I'm going to go for 3. So I'm going to be greedy. So for me personally, it would be the 4x200 free at the Nationals in October, because I came back from injury. We got the team back together. So me, Ian Swift, Jamie McHale and Tim Gleeson, and we got gold in the 4x200 free at the Nationals. So for me, that was back from injury. The boys are back, and that was a good feeling. But in terms of proud of, would be 2 at the Nationals. One was Ian Swift breaking the British record in the 200 breaststroke, and Jamie nearly breaking the British record in the 200 fly. And it's just because I've training with those guys, and Jamie and I often do quite a bit of training outside of the squad sessions. You watch how hard they've trained, and to watch Swifty break that record, knowing how much hard work he'd put in. Yeah, that's probably the one I'm proudest of.
That sounds fantastic. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, nice to call on a few of your teammates as well. I mean, I'm sure we could all think of races where, of teammates and friends that we've watched swim, and it was great to watch. I mean, even just from Nationals alone, there were so many races that I loved watching.
Yeah.
It was and that's one of the beauties, isn't it, of a big meet like Nationals, is you see all the people. Well, yeah, pretty much everyone's there. So there's always a good race to watch.
But it's good to see them rewarded, because they drove themselves so hard. So whenever we had a freestyle set, well, not every time, but Jamie would decide, I'm going to do it fly because I've got 200 fly coming up. And so we're doing 1650s, and he'll do them all fly, and Swifty will do them all breaststroke. And, they'd finish training sets hardly able to breathe. So it's good to see them get the reward.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And anybody who's doing just loads of fly like that just definitely deserves to do well.
Bonkers.
Question from Helen Sadler. What's the best and worst New Year's resolutions you've ever made and tried to stick to? Becky, is that something that springs to mind for you?
I'm going to be really boring and say that I never make New Year's resolutions, because
that's sensible.
I find them really binary. They're either you're doing something or you're not doing something.
Yeah. And
that's just setting yourself up for failure. And actually, it should be about progression, not perfection.
Yeah. Oh, I like it.
That's very good.
I almost don't want to hear anybody else's answers now.
I'm the same as Rebecca. That's what I was going to say.
Really? Okay.
I think we'll leave it with Rebecca, because it was just too good.
That was. I know. I mean, I'm never making a resolution again now after that. That was fantastic.
Because
exactly.
They are doomed to fail. So all you're doing is setting yourself up for something that you can never do. And actually, if you gave yourself tinier steps and progressed towards it, then you would do it. But most people cannot go from switching off something immediately.
Yeah.
You're just not wired to do it.
It's true. Do you know, the only resolution I've genuinely stuck to, it took COVID to make it happen, and it was so obviously 2020. I said I was going to read a book every month, and I actually managed it because we had nothing else to do from March onwards. So I actually did read 12 books that year, and but I don't think I've ever achieved another resolution, to be honest. So I think that's a really good answer. Just sort of going back to swimming, what's the one thing that you would like to see change, or something new that you would like to see at a competition next year? So Eleanor, I'll start with you.
To be honest, given that a lot of the meets I attend to are quite local, I'd just like more space poolside, because I end up getting cold and cramped because you're stuck in a corner somewhere. That's probably one of the things that would definitely improve my meets the most, is space for us all to sit down without fighting over 3 chairs between a squad of 10. Would be lovely. I think that's probably
Will you be doing the will you be doing the Derbyshire Long Course Champs at Moorways in March, I think it is?
Probably. It depends if it clashes with my ski trip. That's my concern, because there's a lot coming around March, April, and I've got literally a ski trip and a work trip back to back, and I'm sitting there going, "Oh, this is going to get messy." But,
well, if you're able to make it, I'm sure there'll be plenty of space at Moorways, and that is obviously local to you and I, which is good.
Sorry, I was just going to say,
Eleanor,
Alfreton
I
and
missed that.
Staffs is very, very small. Also, it used to be
Alfreton
at
is tiny.
Hucknall and Calverton and Bingham, those kind of meets. There's just no space.
Yeah, I do agree. You end up standing up all day as well, which is not great if you want to just feel like absolutely ready for a race. So no, I think that's definitely a good answer. And Jonathan, same for you.
One thing to see change at swim meets. I tell you what I liked at the AP race day, and I know we'll never do it at the British or the Nationals, but mixed meets, or mixed heats rather, in terms of all the heats were time what am I trying to say, time focused or whatever, but by mixing male and female with the same qualifying or the same entry times, I think it just made everything slightly more competitive because the times were closer in each heat. But I think it just adds an edge to it. Blokes racing the ladies and vice versa. I thought it was made a good feel to the races.
Absolutely.
In terms of one thing I'd like to see added to the swim meets, and we nearly got it in the Steel City meet last year, and I shall be going on at Abbey all year until we do it for this year. I'd love to see some single stroke relays. So what I wanted this time around was 4x50 butterfly relays. I think would be a good. Again, we'll never see them at the Nationals or the British Champs. I reckon backstroke could be quite difficult to do or a bit dangerous, but a 4x50 fly and a 4x50 breaststroke relay, let's do it.
I was just going to say, good luck finding 4 fly swimmers in our squad.
Yeah, that is of course the problem. I think it was interesting, obviously, talking to Bob Bolton on last week's episode of the podcast, because he's talked about the idea for innovating these more kind of local meets and trying to just make them a bit more interesting and exciting. And I think absolutely, having sort of single stroke relays is a good way of doing that, isn't it? For sure.
Yeah, and they could be mixed if you're struggling to find fly swimmers. I'm sure you could find 4 male or female swimmers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Becky?
I think a good sound system is really important. And I think some of what made AP race was the sound system, and then people having interviews and hearing people's stories. And I think if that's one of the things that you've done with this podcast, is tell people stories. And I think the people who got interviewed at AP race were sort of winners or people who've broken records and things, but that's what people love, don't they, in Masters, is telling the story. And if you can hear that, and equally knowing when someone's going to break a record or announcing that they've done it is really important, because actually, I announced at the Cheshire Sprints meet, but I don't know how many people actually heard some of what I was trying to say, because the sound system just wasn't very good. So I think that it creates a different atmosphere and an ambience, doesn't it? So that's what I would say.
Completely agree. And it's like at Nationals with the I forget what is like the klaxon thing that they play when somebody record.
The little fanfare.
Yeah. That essentially is kind of what you're saying, isn't it? It's being able to hear loud and clear when something happens. Or I think especially I'm not sure how some people would feel about announcing it before they go into race, to say, and in lane 5 is Joe Bloggs, who could be in of a shout for a record here. I don't know if certain people would like the pressure of that. I'd be well up for it personally, bring it on. But some people maybe wouldn't like it. So but it's a really interesting one for sure.
I'm all for it. The only thing with the interviews, because we had the fun of being interviewed on the AP race day, our relay team, when you get a microphone put in front of your mouth as you get out the steps after doing a leg of the 200 free. So I did a 200 freestyle leg, and you're trying to talk. That's not easy.
No, absolutely not. No,
And then I think Martin Bennell got interviewed straight after his 200 fly, which is even worse. But he did a good job of still being able to breathe while he was talking. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can really see, can't you, why when sports people, especially the pros, I suppose, when it's their job and everything, when they win, if they win or lose, you can imagine like it's hard.
Yeah,
It's having to stand in front of a microphone, especially if you've just been beaten, and pipped to first or something like that. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough then to give or it's tough to be yourself in that moment, I suppose. So no, interesting one for sure. Helen Gorman asks, what's the best and worst Christmas present you could buy for a swimmer? I think best. These are both just opinions, really. But I think forget about best. Let's just go with worst. What do you think the worst present that you could buy a swimmer is, Eleanor?
Oh, good question. To be fair, probably something like armbands, because I just feel really, insulted.
Brilliant. I love it. So that's a very, very good answer. Becky?
I don't get many swimming related gifts, which I sort of reflected on as we were talking. But thinking about the answers to some of these, but I think just something that doesn't fit.
Yeah.
Like, I think as a swimmer as well, I guess, swimming related or not swimming related, we have big shoulders. Things just don't tend to fit, do they? And men are probably a bit different, but from lady, like, we have all different types of swimsuits and shapes and sizes and styles that actually you can get that very wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I sort of feel quite bad saying this, but I'm saying this in jest, really. But I asked my parents for a snorkel last Christmas, and I wasn't specific enough, and I ended up getting literally a snorkel with big goggles and everything. So, and I felt incredibly bad because I thought, bless them, they've gone to the shop and bought this for me, and so fortunately they kept the receipt and we changed it. But yeah, that's probably the worst swimming related Christmas present I've ever received. Just because.
And now you've put it on a podcast. Oh my word!
Podcast, I know. Yeah, poor mum and daddy. How about you, Jonathan?
I'm kind of with Rebecca and Eleanor. Just before you said armbands, I was thinking maybe armbands or a racing suit that's the wrong size. But I'll go for best Christmas present. 2 pairs of these. 2 years ago, I was given a pair of Magic 5 goggles. Well, not a pair. Yes, a pair of goggles. So an outdoor racing pair and an indoor racing pair. So that's your best Christmas present.
Yeah, interesting.
And that's perfectly suited to your sponsorship of the program. Magic 5 goggles.
It is, yeah. There you go. As if by magic, you said that again, which I love. So thank you. Question from Kath, and I absolutely love this question. And this is you're gonna need to think about this one a little bit. Name the ideal venue and swim distance for a nice Boxing Day swim. There's no object to money is no object, should I say? And then what I even want you to do beyond that is then say, what about the post swim element? Do you want to like fire up a barbecue? Do you want to just grab a beer? So tell us about the swim, how far you want to swim, where you want to swim, and then what you want to do straight afterwards. Jonathan, I'll come straight back to you.
Yeah, I've got my answer straight away because it's what I'll be doing on Boxing Day. So, yeah, ideally, I'd love to do something like go in one of the pools at La Santa in Lanzarote because beautiful pools, or maybe something similar in the Caribbean. But what I will be doing is going to Manvers Lake with some of the other crazy City of Sheffield guys, and we'll be doing a 400-metre skin swim in the lake. Hopefully, there's some ice on the surface. That would be really nice. So maybe 2 degrees. Only 400 metres. We'll be in for about 6-7 minutes. And then we'll get out, and the cafe there does fantastic sausage sandwiches, nice. Mugs of tea, and then hopefully some people have brought some homemade chocolate cake as well. So that'll be Boxing Day, probably New Year's Eve and New Year's Day as well this year.
Nice, I like it. Sounds
Be
great.
cold, but we'll love it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure I'd be down for the swim, but I'd be down for the post swim activity for sure. Sounds good. How about you, Eleanor?
I don't know where exactly, because my favourite swim ever was about an hour to 2 hour hike up a Swiss mountain to then go swimming in the lake in the Swiss mountains, and then get out, eat cake, etc., because that's obligatory, right? And then have the nice hike down.
Yeah.
So something like that,
Yeah.
but I kind of would like the water temperature to be at least 19 degrees, because I'm not up for this ice swimming thing at all. So I'm not exactly sure where, but that kind of walk, hike, swim, nothing too strenuous, nice bit of heads up breaststroke, absolutely fine. Bit of a rest, bit of food, nice hike down, sounds great to me.
Yeah.
So distance wise, you wouldn't want to be doing too much. It's more of just a stroll.
Yeah, it's more just the beautiful place, beautiful relaxed swim. Because
in
one
the
thing
water.
I found, just a few years ago, I found that I was getting stressed out about swimming, and I was forgetting why I enjoyed swimming. And it was going and spending time with my friend out there, and she was like, "Look, just come. We go swim in Lake Zurich for a bit. We chill out." And it's because it has that association of reminding me, actually, swimming can just be for fun. It doesn't have to be to get a PB. And on Boxing Day, I'm not getting a PB because I've eaten my own weight in food the day before. So may as well just enjoy it.
That's a brilliant answer. I love it. And interestingly, you both said, lakes essentially. And I'm going to guess, Becky, that you're going to say a big outdoor swim as well.
Yeah, I kind of had two ideas in my head. Last year we spent Christmas in Australia, and every Friday everyone just gets together. It's not like a company or anything. It's just like literally a community that's developed on a Friday morning, and you swim from one side of Bondi Beach to the other, to the icebergs and back again. So it's not very far, because that would be my ideal distance, like 1.52k, so it's not too far. And then afterwards, everyone's just chatting. You go for coffee. There's loads of cafes there. You can have avo on toast, things like that. We did that twice last year while I was there. It didn't fall on Boxing Day, but that was just a really lovely swim. Everyone was really good swimmers. That was really nice. But then I'm starting to get into ice swimming a little bit, and so my other idea was like the other extreme, which is probably quite similar to you. Log cabin in the Alps, coming back to going for a dip in a really cold lake, coming back, open fire blazing, mulled wine. I'd like both. I'd like both of those equally.
Perfect.
Selling it, absolutely selling it. But just out of interest, do you like to cut big chunks of avocado, or are you smashed avo on toast?
Smashed avo. I can't do chunks.
Smashed all the way. Yeah, totally agree. Smashed avo, bit of smoked salmon on top.
Oh, nice.
Poached egg.
Nice.
Poached eggs
with black pepper.
Yeah. Oh God, really hungry now.
Sausage sandwich. What's with this avocado stuff?
The podcast is ending there because we're all off to go and get some avo. I actually want to go back to what Helen Gorman said on the podcast a few weeks ago about the idea of like finding a way of doing like a parkrun style swim meet where it's like, you have it nationwide. It's kind of every Saturday morning or whatever. And I know that parkrun, various venues around the country, they tend to have a Christmas Day and a Boxing Day and a New Year's Day run. And I think for me, I wouldn't specify a venue. I think that'd just be lovely to sort of go, right, your sort of local lake, there might be, 50 to 200 people or something like that. And it's, 500 meters or a K or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, like you say, a cafe afterwards, food of your choice, sausage sandwich, smashed avo, whatever it may be, nice coffee, and mulled wine, mulled cider, just something nice and warm, hot chocolate with Baileys in it. I'm probably all three. Actually, I probably have
all of them.
I think that'd probably be
I think the infrastructure's there already.
Yeah.
It would just be about having the safety aspects there at the time every week. So, you know, you go to Manvers, don't you, Jonathan? I go to Sailwalk Park. I don't know if Eleanor does open water swimming regularly as well, but you know, it would be about, there are set sessions at those places, but then put an extra session on, you know, like a park run. I think the infrastructure's there. It would just be about a collective effort to put something together, I think.
Yeah, completely agree.
Great.
I think it's a great idea. Eleanor, what's the most fun Christmas relay that you've ever done with your club, where you've just introduced silly props, or you know, just done a wild fun relay?
Well, we're kind of doing this on Friday with the water polo juniors because I do coach them. So we've got balloons, we've got Santa hats, we'll get woggles. We're just going to get a load of random items, and basically, every length they have to pick up a person and an item and keep swimming. So you end up with just this kind of king rat style conglomeration in the middle of the pool of various items and kids, and yeah, that's always just quite entertaining from a coach's perspective to watch because it's utter carnage. So anything along those lines. But yeah, we do a lot of those kind of relays with our juniors at Christmas and summer just to break it up because there's only so much egg beater you can keep making them do. So
I love it. That sounds really fun, actually. I think one that I suggested at my club a few years ago, but we never did, was having the first person starts with one object and you have to swim down and you can't get that object wet, so you can hold it however you want to hold it, put it on your head, hold it with your hand, and then the next person comes down, takes that object and has their own, and then basically every time a swimmer goes in, you're collecting more and more objects, and so you end up in a position where you've got, like, you know, several objects and you can't get them wet. And I just don't think we had enough objects to actually go ahead with the relay, to be honest. But I thought it sounded like a good idea. So maybe one day. How about you, Becky?
We do a variation on that, by the way, but which is where you get a ball and everyone has to touch the ball and the ball has to be out of the water, and then you just keep adding kids. So they just end up all having to hold the ball and move down. Yeah, that's quite entertaining.
Nice. At the same time. So they're all touching it at the same time.
All touching it, and it has to be out the water.
Wow. That sounds hard. That sounds like a scrum.
Yeah, it is. But it's water polo. It's all a scrum. So.
Yeah, of course.
Just carnage.
Yeah, that does sound fun. Yeah. How about you, Becky? What's your crazy relay of choice?
I don't really get involved in relays unless I get forced to. And the last time I did, I joked with Bob that I ended up being like the Belgian shot putter that did the hurdles. Do you remember that at the European Athletics Championships? Yeah, that's me in relays. So I don't really tend to get involved, if I'm honest. But
if you could create one and referee it, for example.
I'm not creative enough for that. Go on, Jonathan, save me from this question.
Well, you see, we did our 12 days of Christmas on Monday night, which sounds like it'll be fun, but it was still hard work. We did 2,700 meters in the hour, so I can't say it was a fun, easy set, but I suppose it was fun. It was 12 somethings, 11 something else's, 10 speed spikes in a 200 meter. So I think we did 850s fly. So that was fun. 850s fly max off a minute, just to spice things up a bit.
Yeah.
But we tend to do sets more like that are the 12 days of Christmas, but are still a decent training set. Whereas just a bit of tomfoolery and messing about, well, we're not normally allowed to waste a session doing that kind of thing.
Yeah. That sounds good. I've always wondered about 12 days of Christmas because or swims of Christmas, should I say. I've never done that at any club before. So I didn't know if it was a set thing or sounds like you go 12, 11, 10 and you kind of make it up as you go along.
Yeah.
We
did
Sorry, I was just going to say we do it slightly differently. So it's like the song. So it's 1 length underwater, then it's 2 length freestyle, 1 length underwater, 3 length backstroke, 2 length freestyle, 1 length underwater. So it ends up actually, if you do it all, you're looking at 5-6K. So I've never got past about 6. But what's worse is it goes 5 lengths of fly into 4 lengths IM. So it's just like 5 lengths of fly. And I'm like, come on.
That sounds really hard. Also sounds really easy to just forget what's next.
Yeah, you just get disorientated. The worst one I've done. Well, the worst and the best is 100 hundreds. So that was.
Oh no!
Jamie and I did that the first time we went to La Santa 2 years ago, and it was the Harrogate Masters squad. I think it was their Christmas set, and it's effectively. So you do 12 100s off 140, then you do 2 100s choice, then you do 11 hundreds pull, 2 100s choice, and so on all the way down. And you finish with 1 100 very fast to finish. And it works out at 100 hundreds. And most of them are off.
That last 100, you say you got to finish very fast. I mean, realistically, how fast are you going?
Well, you might be going max effort, but you're probably not going that fast.
Yeah. God, how long did that take you?
It took us just under 3 hours.
Wow.
And we finished, I think we started at 9 and finished at midday. And just as we finished, because it was the open pool at La Santa, I was thinking the back of my neck's a bit scratchy. Rebecca, you'll know this. When you're wearing a wetsuit, it feels like your wetsuit's rubbing. And I thought, well, I haven't got a wetsuit on. And then it was when I got out, we realised we had sunburn on the back of our necks and backs because we were doing it all freestyle.
Ouch.
I mean, I'd agree with you. We don't tend to get allowed to mess around in sessions, but we do 100 hundreds every year. So I swim in a lane with middle to long distance swimmers. We've got a nice bunch of us that are all quite a similar speed as well. So we're trying to set up doing the 100 hundreds. We probably won't do it at Zell. We might do it somewhere else. But yeah. And I think they even tried to do even longer than that last year at our club, and they swam overnight. I was gutted because I was away. I was in Australia, so I couldn't partake. But we don't do. We just tend to do it like literally 100 hundreds off a set time. It's not variated.
How do you keep count?
At the end, someone else does it.
Yeah,
it's easy when you've got that set because you know you're doing 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7. So as you get tired towards the end, you know you've only got 3 100s.
Yeah.
And that's because you've got, what have you got at the end? 3 100s, which is kick, 25 kick, 75 swim, then 2 100s choice. So it gets easier. You don't lose count, but it's it was good to have done it, but we've not rushed to do it again since.
It sounds like my absolute worst nightmare. Swim. I would just have no interest in it. I think it'd be a great achievement. I've always said that about running a marathon. You know, like it'd be a great achievement to run a marathon, but I've not got any interest in ever actually doing it.
I think that's what it is because we did them off 140 long course, which is that's quite hard going.
It's a grind.
But Rebecca, I mean, Trafford won't do crazy sets at Christmas. They don't come number 1 club in the country by messing around in the water.
So Becky's really shaking her head, like very serious there. Stuart Pearce has asked a really good question. So I know that you guys have talked about, well, Jonathan Ice swims and maybe, you know, our ideal Boxing Day swim, all that kind of stuff. But he said, do you think it's good to take a complete break over Christmas or get water time where you can? Now, obviously, this is just a personal preference. For me, I don't think I've ever really swum over Christmas just because ever since I was an adult, really, I would always be travelling to my family's for Christmas. And so I wouldn't be in my own home for the majority of the week. And I wouldn't necessarily know where the local pool is. I wouldn't really bring my gear with me. But this year is the first, you know, now as we've relocated and we're near a family, you know, I might just consider a dip on the 28th or something like that. But I don't think I will be going out of my way. I think it'd be something where if I happen to have a free day, then I might just jump in there. But yeah, interesting question. Eleanor, what do you reckon to this one?
I keep swimming, but I don't train. So I do the fun stuff, like me and my friends go to Nude Bath Hotel at Matlock, mostly because we can then go to the pub afterwards. It's those kind of swims. It's the social swimming that I like to do during the Christmas period. I mean, Jamie's already got plans for base building come January, so I might as well take the rest while I can. But that doesn't mean I can't enjoy swimming for swimming. So it's a bit of both.
What pubs do you like to go in? Are they in Matlock Bath?
We actually usually end up in Cromford, so we've been to the library actually a few times, which is this really cute bookstore with amazing food. There's also Parkies, which is quite good as well. And is it the Greyhound? We've been there.
Greyhounds, yeah. Brilliant.
So yeah, basically anywhere that's going to give us food, we're not that fussy.
I want to come along now. I've just seen this whole thing about not wanting to swim over Christmas, and then you mentioned a pub crawl, and I'm all in now. Sign me up.
It's more about the food and the cake. Who cares about the swimming? We just put on a wetsuit. We go in because it's about 15 degrees at New Bath Hotel. So I'm in a wetsuit. My hardcore friends are not, and it's just enough swimming to justify everything we're going to eat.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Why do anything?
How about
else?
you, Becky? A nice little rest.
I'm usually working on every day apart from the bank holidays, and it's usually really, really busy. So I don't go out of my way to. I mean, most of our sessions stop in that break between Christmas and New Year anyway. So normally I wouldn't swim at all. But that's mainly because I come home from work and I'm utterly shattered, and I'm not going to go out of my way to then go and find somewhere. But I am going to get in and do some open water dips this year for the first time. So this is my first year of making sure I get in at least once a week. And then I've bought an ice bath as well, so I'm getting in that every day at the moment. But that's a charity mission anyway, and that's actually really difficult. And I guess there is a goal to that, because this is about hardening up for some longer open water swims in Skins next year. So, but I'm actually quite enjoying it, and there is a real social and community element to ice swimming and dipping. So I'll be doing that. So yeah, it was not very far, because at 5.5 degrees, I can't stay in very long.
No,
less than 10 minutes, so I don't get very far. I think to do 400 meters in 7 minutes is quite good going at those temperatures, actually, Jonathan, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. Now seems like a good time, Becky. Actually, sorry, I was going to ask you this at the start, but do you want to tell us about your ice bath challenge? Because I've been following it on social media. It sounds great.
Oh, so Katie Moore, who you've had on the podcast before, we're friends from, when we swam as kids, really. So we keep in touch, and we both have been talking about buying an ice bath to help us with some things that are going on that we've been supporting each other with. And then she said, right, I'm going to do a dip a day in December, because her mum was really ill this year, and her mum developed aplastic anemia, which is where her bone marrow stopped producing any cells. So she was just completely transfusion dependent. So it massively impacted her quality of life. I think she actually nearly died as well, and then was given a drug that kickstarted her bone marrow. And so Katie just wanted to do it to raise money. And I thought, well, we both bought this ice bath together. I'm going to do it with you as well then. And so we've been sort of supporting each other along with it. But it is really, really difficult. Yeah. The thought of having it and getting in it is fine, but to do it every single day, because there are absolutely some days I do not want to get in that thing. The thought of putting myself through the pain of getting in cold water, even for just 5 to 10 minutes, is really, really difficult. So it has been a real challenge, but we've done it together, and then, people have donated money, and so I'm getting in because that's what, people have given us money, and we need to keep going. But will I do, talking about New Year's resolutions, will I be getting in that ice bath every day come January? No, I will not.
Brilliant.
New Year's Day, are you going in?
Yeah, New Year's Day I'll go in, yeah. Well, because I missed 2 days of ice bath dipping at the start, because the ice bath that I bought sprung a leak. So, but then I think I'll probably
That's
get
allowed.
a New Year's Day at Sale Water Park anyway, I think. So, and do that way
Sounds
anyway.
good.
Yeah.
So how can people donate? Have you got a page that people can go to?
Yeah, we've got a page on the Aplastic Anemia Trust, so I can put a link to that in the when we put the podcast out on the Facebook page and Instagram. Yeah.
Great, yeah, and I'll put it in the description to this episode as well.
Yeah.
For people. No, so that's fantastic, really good. So, final question then to you all. We talked about some songs and some films, some Christmas films. What's your one sort of Christmas Day tradition that you all like to do? So it might be something that you do with your family, might be something that you watch on telly. You know, when I was a kid, we used to always watch the EastEnders special, stuff like that. So yeah, what's the one thing that you love doing on Christmas Day, Jonathan?
Well, when we've had Christmas at home with the kids, my kids are now older now; they're 25 and 23. But it's putting the food in the oven and always going out for a walk in the Peak District because we live on the edge of Sheffield. So when they're younger, you know what it's like if you've got kids. Well, you won't, Joe, but they're not so keen to start with. But once they get going, it's fine. So yeah, walk in the Peak District with our Santa hats on, and then we come back and have Christmas meal, big slap up Christmas meal that takes 3 or 4 hours. So yeah, I think the Christmas walk, that's my favourite.
Sounds great. So what?
Yeah.
Christmas 2019, we were having Christmas around my auntie. So I woke up with my parents. You know, I did Christmas morning there, and my parents said, "Oh, we're going to go and actually meet them at the pub for a drink." And I was like, "What? The pubs are open on Christmas Day?" Like I know that some are open because they serve food, but they were like, "Oh yeah, the pub's open for like 2 hours." It was just amazing. I just loved it. Just a couple of pints in the pub, and I thought, why have I not been doing this every year all this time? So good. How about you, Becky?
We don't have any on Christmas Day itself, but we have them in the run up to Christmas. Like there's certain things that we do with people. But on Christmas Day, I think since the kids have been born, we've been doing such wildly different things on Christmas Day. Like last year, it was Christmas on Bondi Beach, and we just ate prawns and drank champagne all day. So that was a really good. I think I'll be going away more often. So yeah, no, I don't think we actually have a tradition on Christmas Day itself because of that, because we're always just doing something completely different.
Sounds good. How about you, Eleanor?
I'm a bit like Becky, probably not so much Christmas Day other than arguing with my cousins over who gets the last pigs in blankets kind of thing. But in the run up to Christmas, I'm going to the Panto with my friend and her 2 young daughters, which I'm really excited about. Got meals out with various people, and it's those kind of traditions that I actually really enjoy doing. I'm more excited about the build up to Christmas than Christmas Day itself. Just because that's where I get to spend all the time with all my friends and get to do all the things that really Christmas is about, which is just having a great time with the people you want to spend time with.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more with that. I think for me, the build up and like you say, it's an excuse to meet up with your friend that you're not seen for a few months. You know, grab a drink or whatever, go for a walk with them. It's definitely all those things. It's not necessarily Christmas Day for me. But that's a great place to end it. Thank you very, very much, Becky, Eleanor, and Jonathan. Obviously, I wish all 3 of you a Merry Christmas. Wish all the listeners
Happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
You too.
As I said earlier, this is the last podcast of the year, and I will be taking a planned 2-week break. And so the next episode will be out on the 9th of January. So I wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.